When something is important enough, you do it. Even if the odds are not in your favor. What makes innovative thinking happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide. A company is a group organized to create a product or service, and it is only as good as its people and how excited they are about creating. I do want to recognize a ton of super talented people. I just happen to be the face of the companies. I've actually not read any books on time management. I would just question things. It would infuriate my parents that I wouldn't just believe them when they said something, 'cause I'd ask them why, and then I'd consider whether that response made sense given everything else I knew. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket, as long as you control what happens to that basket. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah. What's wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. I wouldn't say I have a lack of fear. In fact, I'd like my fear emotion to be less because it's very distracting and fries my nervous system. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. If you get up in the morning and think, the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change. If the alternative is a disaster, I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. As much as possible, avoid hiring MBAs. MBA programs don't teach people how to create companies. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. It's very important to like the people you work with, otherwise life and your job is gonna be quite miserable. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead. Other times it will be behind, but a brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. Persistence is significant. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You must have all the ingredients in the right proportion. You have to say, well, why did it succeed, where others did not? There's a tremendous bias against taking risks. Everyone is trying to optimize their ass covering. Starting and growing a business is as much about the innovation, drive, and determination of the people behind it as the product they sell. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness, to make sure it continues into the future. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. Don't delude yourself into thinking something's working when it's not, or you're gonna get fixated on a bad solution. If you're co-founder or CEO, you have to do all kinds of tasks you might not want to do. If you don't do your chores, the company won't succeed. No task is too menial. Really pay attention to negative feedback, and solicit it, particularly from friends. Hardly anyone does that, and it's incredibly helpful. I don't think it's a good idea to plan to sell a company. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better. What makes innovative thinking happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide, I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Life is too short for long-term grudges. I always have optimism, but I'm realistic. It was not with the expectation of great success that I started Tesla or SpaceX. It's just that I thought they were important enough to do anyway. Patience is a virtue, and I'm learning patience. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart.